Okay, so this is going to be a very, very brief lecture on assistive technology and the role of the occupational therapist or occupational therapy practitioner um, in assistive technology. Assistive technology, some of this will sound familiar when we talk more about low tech, um, assistive tech. Some of this might be less familiar when we talk a little bit about more high tech AT. And then considering, what our role is as the OTP, your role as the OTA, and knowing that we always need to be continuing to educate ourselves so that we know what the most current assistive technology is. So as I go through this lecture, I want you to consider right now what your definition of assistive technology is. How would you define it? What your experience is with assistive technology, and then what do you think your role of the OTA is with assistive technology. And I'm not going to ask you to write this down. This is not an essay you're going to turn in. However, I want you to compare what your definitions are based on the information that I provide and see where you kind of meet up, if it was similar or if you learned something new. So what is assistive technology? And I'm just going to say AT so I don't stutter over all of the S's and T's. So AT is any item, piece of equipment, or product system, whether acquired commercially off the shelf, modified or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve functional capabilities of individuals with disabilities. And this is right out of the AT Act of 1998. It's any product, instrument, equipment, or technology adapted or specifically designed for improving function of the disabled person. And this is the World Health Organization's definition. So what does that mean? This can be something that was specifically designed for somebody with a disability. This could be something that is commercially off the shelf that you go to the CVS and you can snag a piece of assistive technology. Also, some of that might be more of your adaptive equipment or DME, such as tub bench and shower chairs and reachers. Or this could be something that's mainstream, that was designed for everybody, but based on the concept of universal design, which we'll talk about later on in this presentation. It can be used to meet the needs of somebody with a disability. So think about your Amazon, Alexa's, Siri, Android, built-in features, and we'll talk more about that. Assistive technology, it includes products, environmental modifications, services, and processes that enable access to and to use these products specifically for persons with disabilities and older adults. So AT is, for everybody across the lifespan. So what are the specific legislations related to assistive technology? There are many laws and there have been many changes to legislation that have occurred that allow people with disabilities to engage in activities within their community. So specifically the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 2004, and the Assistive Technology Act of 1998. So you might be most familiar with the Americans with Disability Act, the ADA, and then the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, the IDEA. So those might be more familiar to you. So what are some of the principles behind service delivery? Everything we do is client-centered, person-centered. The outcome of the addition of AT is to enable participation in desired outcomes. Everything we do is evidence-informed. We don't do anything without prior knowledge, right? The services are provided in an ethical manner, so we're considering cost, we're considering the needs of the client. And the services are provided in a sustainable manner. So whatever assistive technology that we are recommending, providing, delivering, that they are then able to maintain and continue to use that piece of equipment. So let's say you make a recommendation for, let's say, a sip and puff device. So a sip and puff device is a piece of equipment that is attached to a tablet, a computer, a phone, that allows the person to access that device. All right. And you set it up with, if they're in a wheelchair or if they're going into the bed, like they're still able to access that piece of sip and puff equipment, so that they can access their device. Well, I'm doing this in a way, it's client centered. I mean, we all have our phones, right? Without it, we feel lost, or we have some sort of device. So person centered, I need to access my device. That's the assistive technology that I'm working with. It's allowing me to participate in my desired activities of doing the crossword puzzle every day. I'm using evidence-informed process, so I'm using the most up-to-date equipment for that client that's most appropriate for that client. The service is delivered in an ethical manner. I'm not purchasing a piece of equipment or recommending a piece of equipment that's so expensive that they couldn't afford it, or then they couldn't access their device. I'm using what's going to work best with the client's performance skills and client factors. And it's in a sustainable manner where there's somebody that can help them upkeep the piece of equipment. I'm available to come in and do modifications and adaptations to maybe their ability to access it while seated in a wheelchair or in the bed. So I'm considering all of those principles as I'm making recommendations and delivering the service. There is a specific model related to assistive technology. So we know models of practice, that kind of what shapes who we are as occupational therapists and how we deliver our services. So you are familiar with the person environment occupation model, the PEOP, or the model of human occupation, MOHO, or the ecology of the person, ECP. We're familiar with these models of practice. Well, for AT, there is a specific model, the Human Activity Assistive Technology Model, also known as HAT. So if you dive deeper into assistive technology, you'll find that this is probably a model that you will use. And it describes someone, the human, doing something, the activity, in the context of using AT. So this probably sounds familiar to the PEOP. The emphasis on a person engaging in an activity within their chosen environment. So that is the basics of the HAT model. So when you to consider while you're assessing, helping the OTA, occupational therapist, assess the client for assistive technology, and then doing that sustainability and ethics of care. So this is just what I said. The HAT model was developed based on the elements of the COPAM, the Canadian Model of Occupational Performance and Enablement, and the Person Environment Occupational Performance, or the PEOP or PEO model. So there is a spectrum of technology, from mainstream technology to commercially available technology to custom-made technology. So mainstream, the things that we're most familiar with, commercially available, AT, what's off the shelf, and then more custom-made, something that's made specifically for that client. And it can be low tech to high tech. So low tech, something that you might create for that client. If we're thinking about augmentative communication devices. So AAC device for somebody who has limited communication. If I'm working with somebody for the objective of improved communication, I'm working in collaboration with the speech therapist. Maybe a low-tech option that the speech therapist and I might work on that client with is a letterboard, low-tech, versus a more expensive, high-tech, custom-made board that's, got that isn't on an app on a device that the client then needs to push a button and it speaks for the person. But that low tech option would be maybe that just the letterboard where they have to spell out the letters. And then looking at what my role in that is, how do they access it? How is it positioned on their chair? Is it on the lap tray? Is it up or is it down? Like, what does that look like? And that would be, the low tech versus high tech. And then thinking about hard and soft technologies. Hard technologies are available things that can be purchased and assembled into AT systems. These are tangible. So that might be the interface, the processor, and then the activity output. So the interface being what the human is accessing, how it is processed within the device, and then what the activity output is. So let's go back to the example of the AAC. If the interface is the letterboard, or an actual device with an app, I'm interfacing with the device, the process of the information. So if it's the listener processing me pointing out letters, or the process within the device to then have some sort of activity output, either the verbal activity output with that high-tech piece of equipment, or the low-tech activity output with the listener or other active engager understanding what it is that I'm typing out or pointing out. And then soft technologies. These are the human areas of decision-making, strategies, training, and delivery service. This is you as the therapist. You are the soft technology. You are the one that is problem solving, assessing, reassessing, problem solving, training, delivering the device, delivering the service. You are the soft technology. Without the hard technology, we can't be successful because we don't have the actual device. And then, soft technology is really very dependent on our knowledge. So it's very important for us to stay up to date on the most current assistive technology available. So some mainstream assistive technology that you might be familiar with, walk signs. When you're crossing the street, you might hear the walk sign. It has a voice aspect to it. A wheelchair, mainstream, we're familiar with that. Within bathrooms, grab bars, self-flushing toilets, sensor water faucets, automated buttons, so push buttons to open doors. Those are mainstream, things that we're familiar with. Walking sticks for people with visual impairments, closed captioning. How many of us use it on our streaming devices, Netflix or Hulu or whatever, to better understand what the actor is saying on the television? We can read the closed captioning. That is a mainstream form of assistive technology. When you're typing and your device is auto filling in what you want to write, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, because we all know that we have that autocorrect is kind of a pain when it says something that you don't want it to say. Or if you are doing voice to text, that is also a mainstream form of assistive technology. Larger text that you might use on your phone or Kindle or tablet, and various hearing aids. Those are all examples of mainstream assistive technology that most of us are very familiar with. I talked about accessibility features. You know, our tablets, our phones, our computers. My Alexa, that's its wake word. So when it was listening to me when I said it earlier. So these, without those, we off as a population, we just kind of don't know how to function. So oftentimes when you're working with a client, and the first area of need is being able to access their tablet or device, and that could be as simple as somebody with a hip replacement who's not able to get out of their bed to get to their phone as readily, or somebody with a neurological event who's got limited use of their arms now. How do they access their devices? So that is a huge area for us of assessment and treatment. And making sure that we're using the built-in features of these products, and more specifically, or not more specifically, but almost as important, if not more important, is how are they accessing it? How are we mounting it? How are they able to get this piece of equipment? Let me see if this will work.
Wake up. Voice control is a breakthrough feature that gives you full control of your devices, with just your voice, period. It's a whole new way to do everything you love, period. Like this. Correct love. 16. Open photos. Scroll up. Show numbers. 13. Click share. 3. Tim. Next field. Let's ride this one today. Thumbs up emoji. Click send. Open maps. Show grid. Long press at 20. Open app switcher. 4. Tap share. Tap Tim. Tap send. Hey, good to see you. Open music. Turn up the volume.
So did you see at the end of the video how he was powering his wheelchair with the straw? That is a sip and puff that I was talking about earlier. All right, universal design. This is, I mentioned that earlier, this is considered a new category of technology, although it's universally been used forever. This is the idea that devices are designed with the needs of the population, with a range of abilities in mind. So these devices will be more usable for users with or without a disability. So these were not designed specifically for a person with a disability in mind. They were designed specifically for the whole population to be able to use. And this is a great example of universal design that is amazing for people with disabilities.
If you could design a hands-free shoe, how would you do it? So I started thinking, how do you get in and out of a shoe today without your hands? And you do that by taking one foot, putting it behind the heel of the other, and then yanking that foot out. And then to get back in, you slide your toes in, and then you jam your foot in the rest of the way by crushing the heel counter. And I started to realize that maybe what we should do is just design a shoe for that behavior.
Tim had created this prototype, and I saw this busted up Roshi that had some surgical tube wrapped around it, and it's one of those things where you just kind of have to laugh a little bit when you see it, because it's just so simple and it's so smart. I'm Haley. I'm a designer and innovator in NXT space.
Hi, my name is Tim, and I work on a small team of exploration engineers.
Hi, I'm Johnny, innovator in Nike Taiwan Innovation.
As I started working with Tim, I realized was going to involve like a ton of math. At one point, he presented a full page math equation and was like, no problem, like this is what you have to do. And I was like, Johnny is kind of like a very similar minded person. We had this really awesome collaboration where we would send over our ideas to him and be like, what do you think? Do you think we can make this? And then we would wake up in the morning and get an email, and it would just be full of like 20 ideas from his team. So this is essentially a giant rubber band. We call it the tensioner, that holds tension on the shoe in both the open position and the closed position. The hinge here is what gives the shoe kind of space to open and close. And we've created like some nice geometry here that creates a really stable base.
So, how many of you are familiar with the Nike Go Fly Ease? That's a device that is on the market that is readily available for everybody. So, but considering the needs of a client who has limited use of their hands, this is a huge game changer. So, the principles of universal design is the equability of use, the flexibility in its use. It's simple and intuitive to use. Perceptible information. There's a tolerance for error, low physical effort, and there's a size and space for approach and use. So let's think of a piece of universal design that you might have never considered, but it is the door handle with the long lever edge. So everybody can use it. It's flexible to use. You can use it in a manner of different ways. You can use your whole hand. You can use a fist. You can use an elbow. You can use a shoulder, whatever it is. It's, if you're in a wheelchair, if you're standing, you're able to use this handle. It's simple and intuitive to use. It's a, you push it and it opens the door. Perceptible information, like we're able to problem solve and figure out how to use it. There's a tolerance for error. If you push the handle down and it rebounds, it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt anybody. The door might not open, but there is that tolerance for error. It's low physical effort, so there's not a ton of effort to use it. And the size and the space for approach and use. Like I said, I can access the door handle at seated level, at standing level, if I'm carrying things in my hands, if I'm at a walker level. It is universally designed for the population, for the needs of many with a range of abilities. So what is your role as the OTA? One, having knowledge and foundational skills to assess and provide AT devices and services. Now, when I say assess, this is based on your competency level with assistive technology. So what your knowledge base is, having that collaborative approach, that collaborative relationship with your OT partner. So you are able to identify range of motion challenges, strength challenges, how they're able to access their ability to perform ADLs. You are doing that in your role as the OTA, and you're having that collaboration with the OTR to meet the needs of the client. And all of that is through your occupational analysis, our unique ability to look at client skills and abilities, preferences, environment, etc. Remembering that our primary focus is increasing function. So we must stay present, right? We must stay current. We make recommendations and provide training. We advocate for the needs of our clients. And we are a member of the interdisciplinary team. So we're always collaborating. We're always reviewing as the OTAs. I'm going to show you one last video.
Josh is a warrior. He has a disability that tries to take away his independence. He has something called chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy, which takes away his strength and his ability to move smoothly.
In December of last year, I had spine surgery. They needed a rehab for me to go to afterwards for therapy. I told them, Lifedale, you never want to leave.
When I first went in to see Josh in his room, he was in bed. I was asking him, what's hard for you right now? And he said, I can't work the remote for the TV here, and I can't change a channel, so I have to wait for the nurse to come in and change a channel for me every time. He just didn't have the strength in his fingers or the coordination in his fingers to press down on the button. And so I consulted with our assistive technology team, and we introduced the puck to Joshua.
As part of the AT team, we are available to support and kind of consult with the primary therapist on their children and what their needs are, whether it be seating and positioning, communication, or in this case for Josh, it was for environmental access. So the puck, it's a commercially available product, and it wasn't really made for the assistive technology world in the beginning. It was made for the average household to kind of take away the remote controls in their world and make it easier. Only it actually ended up benefiting those with motor impairments.
As you can see, I have puck open. So either with my finger or with my voice, I can control the TV.
The puck can act like a remote control, but he can operate it through his phone. And so it made him independent in the ability to change the channels, use the volume control, turn the TV on and off when he wanted to.
In a way, technology, it's my life. Show numbers. 16.
Josh came into the hospital already having a very strong brain for technology. So I think when we offered him the puck and we showed him it's a very simple free download, he automatically was like, all right, let me do this, let me hook up the Bluetooth to my phone. Very active, very motivated, and that's who he is. If there's a problem and you have a solution, he'll try it.
I'm just so proud of Josh because he took hold of using all of this technology, and he's very vocal, and it really helps us learn more about how to make things easier for him and how to change things for him for the better.
So you'll notice that the assistive technology team person in that video, she has the title of ATP, so Assistive Technology Professional. That is a specific certification which anybody can get. So if AT is an area of interest for you, I highly suggest when you get into your journey as an OTA, maybe that's something that you look into. And lastly, I love this quote. For people without disabilities, technology makes things easier. For people with disabilities, technology makes things possible. So with that, I leave you. Have a great rest of your day.